anytime in this video throughout that you will see barbed wire, handcuffs, sirens, or police, it's probably edited and it's not even from what they're filming. They took it from some other section and threw it in there.
They were only released hours later after authorities verified their documents.
They are not respecting us as a human.
Alright man, you have been away from Pakistan way too long. I hope you never had to take a bus in Pakistan because this is what it's like.
I'm on a bus on top. Woo! And we are going to Dunia.
A lot of people have asked me to do a reaction video and comment about the Locked Up in Malaysia's Lockdown video done by AlJazeera. But before I do that, let's point out I love Malaysia, I love Pakistan, I love Bangladesh, and I love India. And I've been to all these countries multiple times. And I have so many friends from all of these countries. Also, this video is obviously not sponsored. So let's get into this video. The first thing that is a dead giveaway about this video is that the comments are turned off. I really don't think YouTube should ever allow comments to be turned off because it's important, especially if you're a media agency, to, if you report something inaccurate, to allow people to comment and point out the not accurate parts. If you look at my videos, I have never ever turned off the comments to any of my videos, and there have been a few videos I made that people didn't always agree with.
As Malaysia battles to contain the COVID-19 virus, authorities have been carrying out military-style operations across the capital, Kuala Lumpur.
Okay, so when you say military-style operations, it makes it sound really, really bad. But I don't know if they forgot, the coronavirus is really scary. It spreads super quickly, and so you need to lock places down instantly. And if you look at the countries that actually did really good with lockdown, say South Korea, China, Malaysia, all three of those countries did a great job and their cases decreased dramatically. Compare that to, say, the USA, they never really did a good military-style operation or lockdown. And look at the result of the USA. They're taking something that was actually good and making it sound like it's something bad. Okay, so this was only the first 15 seconds. And for those of you who don't make videos, which was me just a year ago, there's a lot of things you may not have noticed that happened in this first 15 seconds.
As Malaysia...
First, the sirens. I am 95% sure that those sirens were added and weren't the real sirens of those vehicles. They may not have even made any noise, but they added the sound effects of sirens to make it more scary. And secondly, the guns and military. So what they did is they captured people with guns and military over several days from several different places. They literally looked for any time they could find someone with a gun or military uniform, they would film them. And then they edited it to make them all be together in the same sequence. And so it makes people, when they watch it, think that all of Malaysia is covered with guns and military, which is not the case, and it's very misleading. And this is a very common thing that all media agencies do. Let's give an example. I went as a medical volunteer to Syria, and while I was there, we took a road trip to Aleppo, which is a very famous city, but the media had showed it had been completely destroyed in the war. And when I got there, I was really surprised that 80% of Aleppo was still intact. Actually, when I was there, I didn't see any buildings destroyed, and we literally had to go and find the area where the war had happened. And while it was bad and sad to see, it was strange to realize that this was only about 10% of the entire city, yet the media had made it seem like it was the entire city. And my point of this is exactly what they're doing in this Malaysian video. They're trying to show this barbed wire, these sirens, these guns, and make it seem like it's all of Malaysia, when it's very small areas of Malaysia doing this. And I just think that is so misleading of the media, and unfortunately, it happens all the time. Sorry to go into so much details, but I think this is important because anytime in this video throughout that you will see barbed wire, handcuffs, sirens, or police, it's probably edited and it's not even from what they're filming. They took it from some other section and threw it in there. And so just know that as you watch this video.
In the name of public health and safety, they've rounded up illegal foreign workers.
When you look at these raids, you can't help but think, is this the practical reality of dealing with a pandemic, or is it racism?
All right, let's go over this. Breaking the law is illegal. Working without a valid visa in Malaysia or really any country in the world is illegal. And for the government to arrest people that are doing that, they're not being racist. They're arresting the people that have broken the law, and the majority of them tend to be minorities. And so you can't just assume because they're minorities and you're arresting them for breaking the law, you're being racist. No, you're just enforcing the law.
We are treating them like an animal. This is not the way to treat a migrant worker. This is not the way to treat a human.
Bertindak zalim, tidak betul. Mereka tidak berhak untuk berada di negara kita kerana masuk secara haram.
101 East investigates why so many foreigners are being locked up in Malaysia's lockdown.
Again, notice it says foreigners being locked up. They forgot one word, illegal. You can't just leave the word illegal out. Come on. Leaving out the word illegal completely changes what you're saying.
Kuala Lumpur's migrant neighbourhoods are under siege. Any identified as areas with high infection rates have been locked in behind barbed wire and barricades.
All right, so they're saying two different things and they're combining them. See, this happens all the time with the media to cause emotion. And so let's go over it. They're saying that the migrant areas are under siege, and then they say areas of high COVID-19 positive results. And they're combining them. No, it's anywhere with high results, and a lot of them happen to be the migrant areas. They are not picking and choosing the migrant areas. They're really, Malaysia's going to the areas where there's a lot of cases and locking them down so that they don't go and affect other communities. It makes sense. China did the same thing. South Korea did the same thing. I mean, you can look all around the world. The countries that did the best job did the same thing.
This is part of Malaysia's response to COVID-19. Across the city, people are being taken from their homes, fingerprinted, tested for the disease, and checked for valid documents. Those without them are swiftly taken away.
It's only when the trucks leave that you realise what's going on.
Okay, so first off, getting tested is a good thing. So I can't believe this video is trying to make the fact that these migrant workers are being tested as a bad thing. That's good. Number two, having your ID checked because they need to keep everyone accountable. They have to know if you're positive, where you're living, what you're doing, who you've interacted with, because COVID-19 is easily spread. That's why Taiwan, China, and other countries were able to track everybody that had it and who got it from who. And if you can't track them because they're illegal, it's going to make things really hard.
We're not allowed inside these fenced-off areas.
Well, obviously, because they have COVID-19 and you don't, and if you go there, you can get COVID-19, and then when you go reporting on other things in Malaysia, you could spread it to other Malaysians. Obviously, you're not allowed there, and you shouldn't be.
But phone footage from local residents gives us a glimpse inside the crackdown. Shortly after one raid, I speak with two migrants from Bangladesh.
Kita bisa berbicara di sini?
One of them tells me he's afraid to leave his apartment because he doesn't have a valid work permit. He managed to avoid arrest by hiding.
We've been trying to get witness testimony from people, but as you can see, there's police there. We can't get through the wire. I've got my ID. Look, this is my ID. I'm from the press. Again.
This is lockdown area. No camera, please.
But we're within our rights to report from here.
Oh, yeah. But this lockdown area, off your camera.
All right, if you take a look at this, they have an image of a police officer. Well, two images, and this is obviously of a military police officer. I think it's military. He's dressed all in the camo. As a guy that has traveled all around the world, in a lot of countries, it is illegal to take video and camera footage of military and police because you can't be knowing how they're screening people to get in and out of places. I mean, even in America, you can't go to the White House and take footage of the police officers at the White House screening people in and out. You could get thrown in jail for doing that. So, I don't know if this is legal, but to me, I don't think it's legal to be taking footage of a police officer, an army officer, without their permission, which is clearly done here, and I think they may have broken the law. I'm not an expert, but I know in many countries this would be definitely illegal and could get you in jail.
Off your camera, please.
Alright, so we're at 3 minutes. We have only gotten 3 minutes in this video, and it's 25 minutes long. Oh my gosh.
To avoid the authorities, we meet another migrant worker caught up in the raids at an underground car park. Fearing reprisals from Malaysia's government, the Pakistani man only agrees to speak with us anonymously. He was arrested with his wife and 2 children.
They are just shouting on us. Just sit down, just get lost, keep quiet. And we silent. We have no words to say and we don't have a right to ask any question from them.
The man was a policeman in Pakistan.
Alright, so it's supposed to be anonymous, but they're using his voice and showing mostly his face except for the mask. Again, I don't mean to be critical about the journalism, but you should be blacking out the face and you should be hiding the voice. Otherwise, it's not anonymous. You just didn't write his name.
The man was a policeman in Pakistan and says the Malaysian authorities were out of line. As his whole family, including his son and daughter, were handcuffed and chained together with other children and the elderly under the hot sun. They were only released hours later after authorities verified their documents.
My daughter is still scared. She stopped laughing. She said, maybe they come again. Even we have a valid documentation. They are not respecting us as a human. I learn here. Foreigners have a value just like a dog only.
Malaysia's a...
Alright man, you have been away from Pakistan way too long. You're upset because you had to sit out in the sun with your family? I hope you never had to take a bus in Pakistan because this is what it's like.
I'm on a bus on top. Woo! And we are going to Dunia.
We got a flat tire. So this is our tire shop. And you were upset that authorities gave you a lot of trouble with your documents? Well, try to go to Pakistan, because when I was in Pakistan, the authorities all the time harassed me for documents. They took up my entire day where I had to spend my entire day at the police station showing documents. So your own country that you're from does the same thing to other people. You are a police officer in Pakistan. That means yourself and your co-workers made life really rough for foreigners when they were in Pakistan. Have you seen how they have to work in Bangladesh? Both men and women are outside doing hard labor the entire day in the hot sun. So you come to Malaysia, you get a better paying job, and you expect to be treated like a king? I mean, people are dying around the world because of COVID-19, and you're upset because you and your family got yelled at by police officers and had your documents checked. Trust me, there is a lot worse things that could be happening when COVID-19 is happening.
Malaysia's economy depends on 2.2 million migrant workers, but it's estimated another 4 million are here illegally, taking the dirty, dangerous jobs few locals want.
Alright, 4 million illegal immigrants is huge. Again, these people, you don't know where they're living, you can't track them, and so when something like COVID-19 is happening, it puts your entire country at huge risk having so many illegal people in your country. But regardless, the other thing is, you have to realize they're not paying taxes, their companies that hire them are supposed to be paying fees, and they're not. And there are other migrant workers that want to work in Malaysia and want to do it the right way legally, but there's no jobs for them because the illegals have stolen their jobs. And so it's punishing those that will actually follow the rules. So it's a huge debate, but I think it's important to point out that 4 million is a ton of illegal workers.
They are often trafficked by agencies who exploit and trap them in a cycle of debt.
So that is actually a good point. There are a ton of agencies that take advantage of migrant workers and try to get them visas and other things, but will rip them off and not be completely honest. And you should do a story on that and really put pressures on that agency and put pressures on the Malaysian government to make sure that that is not happening in Malaysia. It happens all around the world, and so I can only assume it's probably happening a little bit in Malaysia as well. But even though that's happening, you shouldn't use that as an excuse to be able to break the law and work illegally in Malaysia.
They make a trap for us. They give food, they give medication, all things they give. So no one expecting they were going to arrest the people. They are not murderer. They are not criminal. They are just undocumented.
Okay, yes, they're not murderers, but technically they are criminals. Again, they are breaking the law and working illegally. That would make them a criminal, and because they're a criminal, they will get arrested. It would happen in Malaysia and any other country.
Has a valid work permit, but his friend's visa had expired. Ridoy was swiftly taken away by immigration officials.
He also has been arrested in this time. That was not his fault. His company never renewed his visa. He was arrested. You know, I run the immigration, I run the police station. I cry in the gate, please let me meet my friend.
Down the road, Raihan and I meet Farhad Chowdhury, another Bangladeshi detained in the raids. He's been working in Malaysia for over 20 years, first in construction and hotels. Then he started his own business selling fabric. But his visa expired during the lockdown, when it was impossible to renew it. Farhad says if the authorities' aim is to contain the virus, cramming people together in immigration trucks is counterproductive.
যারাদের ইয়াসিনে ভিসা মাতি আছে একদিনের পর 2 দিনের তাদেরকে একটা লাইন করা আছে লাইন ধরায় গন্যা দেখছে 30 জন লোক গেলে সবার বলতেছে এক এক ওটা রাখে তো এখন তো সবাই আতঙ্কের মধ্যে কোনো যাইতে পারবে না কোনো লোক সবাই আস্তে আস্তে কি অবস্থা ছিল
Farhad.
All right, that is true. If Malaysia is putting a bunch of people in trucks together near each other, that is going to help spread the virus. And I don't care if they're legal, what their status is, you don't want people in your country or anywhere being close together because they can spread it. Take a look at America. In America, a lot of the prisoners have COVID-19 and it spreads like crazy. And then you realize that, oh, it's prisoners. But there's people that have to work at the prison, and the workers will then get COVID-19 and spread it to their families will then spread it to other people, and continually spreads. Same with these migrant workers. Even if they're illegal, they're going to come in contact with workers from Malaysia, and all it takes is a few workers to get it, and then they'll spread it to the entire Malaysian community. So you need to be very careful, even when you're doing whatever, that you're always doing social distancing and doing everything you can to prevent the virus from spreading. So you may not have noticed this. This guy has an expired visa, but it happened during the pandemic. And because of that, most likely the Malaysian government realized that he should be given an exemption. And that's why they're able to record him. So the Malaysian government used common sense. They realized that during the pandemic, it's hard to renew your visa. And so he wasn't punished. And it's interesting how they never mention why he's on his own and how the Malaysian government may have actually been pretty nice to him and gave him an exemption because they understood his circumstances.
Farhad has since discovered that 3 people from the raided buildings have tested Today, Raihan is meeting Sumitha Shantini Krishna. a human rights lawyer who specialises in helping migrant workers.
So when did he become undocumented?
It's about last year. His company got bankrupt.
Okay, his company got bankrupt.
Then boss also hiding. His visa cannot renew. He cannot go back to Bangladesh because he have the loan, money, everything. So he became undocumented.
Okay, did he attempt to go to the Labour Department to file a case against his employer?
Miss, the thing is, the people like them who are worker here, labor here, how they know the things? They don't know. So is there any way, just I want to meet my friend, is there...
So this is a lawyer that helps with human rights and specifically helps migrant workers. And even she is not able to help his friend because his friend, when the visa expired, he didn't put in any effort. Again, she's not asking for a lot. Just document it. Contact the government, contact the Ministry of Employment, and just let them know that my job went bankrupt, I don't have a visa, I need to apply somewhere else, and they would do their best to try to help it, and at least you would be documented not having it and have put in some effort. But because he didn't do anything, now he's in trouble, and she can't even really help him.
Just I want to meet my friend. Is there any way?
So there is no visitation to any of the detention centres. It's not only for foreign nationals, even the lawyers cannot go into the detention centres to see their clients because it's all closed for now.
There's little he can do to help Ridoy. But Raihan drives to the detention centre anyway, hoping to at least catch a glimpse of his friend. He can't call Ridoy to see if he's okay, because detainees aren't allowed phones.
When I come here, I become emotional. It's unbearable for me. I cannot meet him. I don't know he is eating or not. I cannot give him the food. I'm very much worried about him.
Raihan came to Malaysia 6 years ago to study and now works in marketing. He says he loves his job and living here. But this crackdown has changed the way Raihan sees the nation and made him think about leaving.
This is a clear act of racism. That's the thing. A clear act of evil.
If it was racism, you would have been arrested too, but you weren't because you didn't break the law. But what you should have done is you should have told your friend to apply for a visa so he was legal. You and your friend have never taken responsibility that you guys screwed up. Come on, man.
Detention centres have now become hotspots for COVID-19, with more than 700 reported cases. Rights advocates say the recent influx of migrants into these already crowded facilities has created perfect conditions for the virus to spread. But Malaysia's Defence Minister rejects the criticism.
Kita selamatkan mereka, tempatkan di tempat yang terbaik untuk menjaga kesihatan mereka. Jadi, kalau nak kata kajian Malaysia tidak berperi kemanusiaan kepada parti ini juga tidak betul. Kalau berlaku peningkatan, kita dah ada...
Only state media were allowed into government press conferences. Several requests to interview the Senior Minister, Home Minister and his deputies were declined.
Walaupun kita layan mereka, tetapi status mereka...
Well, it makes sense that they were declined because if you can see how biased this news article is, they would ask... AlJazeera would ask a bajillion questions and then find the one time that the health minister would not answer correctly and then blast it on their social media. So it makes sense. As somebody that has to often re-record his videos, I don't always speak clearly either. And so when it comes to media can be very cruel if you don't say everything perfect. Even if you say things perfect, they can interpret it in the wrong way. So it kind of makes sense that they weren't allowed in.
Tapi status mereka terus kekal parti.
Kuala Lumpur's biggest wholesale food market operates from early morning till late at night. But a COVID-19 outbreak brought trade to an abrupt halt here for several days. Now, business is back, but with one big change. Migrants who have long kept these market stalls running can no longer work here.
Matlamat kami adalah untuk bagi memastikan iaitu pasar burung dipenuhi oleh warga tempatan untuk iaitu untuk menjalankan perniagaan di sini atau pekerjaan di sini. So jadi kat sini kita nampak benda ni dapat dilaksanakan lah. Andai kata dengan cara kita cuba yang terbaik agar ianya boleh iaitu direalisasikan.
Muhammad Pandu Insani bin Yahya runs the local Traders Association. He says hiring only locals will make market safer.
Apabila berlakunya jangkitan terhadap mereka, rata-rata di kalangan mereka tidak akan pergi ke hospital kerana takut ditangkap atau takut dihantar pulang jika tiada dokumen yang sah. Dan dari segi dia punya kebersihan pula kita pun tahu mereka dengan cara hidup yang berbeza dengan masyarakat setempat. Okey, the local culture kat sini dengan tempat mereka. Jadi memang perbezaan itu ketara dengan cara diorang makan makanan sirih dan sebagainya dalam ludah split rata-rata kan. Itu membuatkan kawasan sekitar ini nampak macam lain daripada yang lain lah. Dia tak sama macam tempatan sekarang. Macam sekarang je awak boleh lihat kawasan sekitar ni agak tenang dan aman.
How is this a fair program?
Okay, saya berpendapat program yang kita laksanakan ni tiada kaitan langsung.
First, you are being so unfair to this guy. He has no experience working with such biased journalism and such horrible journalism. And he's just a normal guy that works at the market. Stop trying to make him look so bad. Now back to your silly question. How is this fair to Malaysians? Illegal migrant workers working at this market don't pay taxes, don't have to follow the same rules Malaysians do, and can sell cheaper things because they're illegal. How is that fair to Malaysians? It's not.
So dengan iaitu perkauman dan juga iaitu untuk mengenepikan mana-mana pihak, contohnya dari segi warga asing dan sebagainya. Apa yang ditanggap oleh setengah-setengah pihak bahawasanya ada berkaitan dengan perkauman dan juga cuba diskriminasi untuk lain-lain bangsa dan sebagainya, tiada.
Muhammad ran a recruitment drive to replace the foreign workers with locals. 500 Malaysians applied for just 60 positions. This man was one of the successful applicants.
Alright, so there's a lot to go over here. Let's go over a few things. First of all, there are two main types of people that get visas to work in Malaysia. There's skilled and there's cheap labor. The skilled people are like engineers, doctors, those that have a special skill that if they work in Malaysia, they can help develop the country and make it super successful. And then there are those that are the migrant workers. They're the ones that get the visa to do the jobs that locals don't want to do, the really rough and tough jobs. The second type, there are 500 people that have applied for 60 jobs. So clearly Malaysians want to work here, and there is no need for migrant workers here. But what's interesting is the way AlJazeera makes it sound out to be. They are saying it's unfair, it's racist to allow Malaysians to work in Malaysia.
Applicants.
So, macam mana kerja sekarang? Okey.
Alhamdulillah bang, jom.
Tak buat apa?
Dah daripada pukul 7 pagi.
Kau boleh bertahan kerja lah?
Boleh, insyaAllah.
Saya pastikan bahawa sampai depan.
But not everyone is happy. Stallholders complain that their new employees can't handle the long hours and manual labour involved. Some have already quit, leaving them understaffed.
Okay, so this is a common thing in media. They say store owners, but they give nobody to report. Okay, they can block out the face, they can block out the voice, they can easily have somebody on camera. They were there, they could go ask any store owner, interview the store owner, get people that are store owners to say that. Otherwise, how do we know you're telling the truth? Because it's really hard to prove you wrong. But again, they're just saying that store owners say this, but they have no proof. If you're going to make claims like this saying that Malaysians are lazy and not able to work the long hours, at least give us some proof of people saying that.
Understaffed.
Tak dinafikan, bukan semua tahan untuk bekerja di sektor berat seperti ini. Namun, saya percaya hanya segelintir saja yang cakap yang tak tahan ataupun ni ramai di luar sana yang boleh buat kerja sini.
Again, 500 people applied for 60 jobs. So yes, there might be a few. Even if there's 100 people that applied and can't do it, that still leaves 400 people for 60 jobs. So I think they're fine. And even if Malaysians can't cover such long hours, instead of making it 60 jobs, just double it and make it 120 and make them part-time. And then you don't have to worry if they can't work such long hours.
The removal of foreign workers from the market and from their neighbourhoods ignited social media. Photos and videos of the raids were cheered online.
Okay, so if you take a look at the comments, really the only two comments that are really bad are the last two. Again, allowing illegal immigrants, the key word is illegal immigrants into your country. Really, no country allows that. They're not supposed to come in because they have broken the law and are not working legally. And there's a lot of reasons why. Number one is that they don't pay taxes. Number two is that their employee isn't paying the fees to hire them, and their employee has a huge advantage because, again, with a business, it's cutthroat, and if your business is able to hire people and pay less for their workers, it gives them a huge advantage. They can have lower prices. They can put that money and extra workers to do things like marketing and sales, and so it gives certain Malaysians a huge advantage if they're allowed to hire illegal migrant workers. You know, you want it to be a fair playing field when it comes to the business world. And so I'm not saying they should or they shouldn't, but you can definitely understand where some people would not be in support of illegal immigrants. What's interesting is AlJazeera seems to ignore certain countries where there is a ton of racism against legal migrant workers. And so if you're going to do a story about racism and attacking migrant workers, Malaysia's not the country that you should be picking.
And anti-immigration Facebook groups have been telling illegal migrants to go home.
Okay, this one kind of upsets me. I'm gonna get a little bit frustrated because this is where you can put this is fake news. This is a complete lie. Maybe go back and re-listen again. They say anti-immigration groups. Again, let me repeat, anti-immigration groups. Let's look at what this website says. Malaysian people anti-illegal immigration. One word, leaving one word out completely changes the entire structure of what this organization is against. They are completely against illegal immigrants. They're against people breaking the law. And again, all countries, no country goes, we're gonna drop borders and allow anybody that wants to in the world to come to our country. I mean, you can take countries that are very liberal, like Canada or Germany or Norway. They don't just drop their borders and let anybody in the world come to their country. Every country has rules about immigration. And so you can't make fake news and say this is anti-immigrants. No, this is anti-illegal immigrants, anti-against breaking the law, and again, you can be for this group or against it, but at least don't lie. Say what it is, and that's really bad reporting. I mean, come on, AlJazeera, you're a big organization. You shouldn't lie to try to get publicity. That's really bad.
Muhammad thinks Malaysia should not allow so many foreign workers.
Is he against so many foreign workers that are legal or illegal? Again, because AlJazeera is mixing these two terms up. You don't even know what they're talking about. And you know, you could see a case where some people would say we don't need so many migrant workers. We could do better with less. And that could be definitely something debated with the Malaysian government and with how to do it. And so, but the problem with this video is you don't even know if they're talking about illegal or legal. They're mixing things up, and it's just, it's frustrating when you don't do accurate reporting.
Untuk kemajuan pekerja asing, yang mana dah bermonstratif di sini, dia memberi kesan yang sangat negatif. Mungkin dia akan masa yang panjang. Kita tak ada masalah untuk hidup bersama dengan mereka. Namun setiap perkara mesti ada perbatasan.
I just feel they're trying to make this guy look so bad. He doesn't believe there should be as many migrant workers in Malaysia. And that's just his opinion. He might be right, he might be wrong, but it's debatable, it's political. And he shouldn't be made out to look bad.
When the lockdown began, Kuala Lumpur became shuttered and silent. Foreigners were the first to be stood down from construction sites, shops, office blocks and factories.
Kami bisa membantu cuci toilet, macam membuat bangunan yang tidak bisa rakyat Malaysia buat.
Ruhima moved to Malaysia 4 years ago from Indonesia, so she could provide for her family back home.
Dekat kampung saya cuma pekerjaan petani. Jadi saya mau cari uang sedikit lebih, saya pergi ke Malaysia.
She found a cleaning job at a restaurant, but her Malaysian employer didn't want to apply and pay for a visa on her behalf.
Susahlah, kami faham sebab kami yang duduk di Malaysia ni kami salah, tidak buat permit. Jadi kami faham kalau kita yang salah.
Alright, maybe you forgot, but Indonesia is kind of big. It has over 17,000 islands, its population is 267 million, and you're allowing this lady to tell you that she had no job in her current village or city she lived in, and she couldn't go to any of the other areas in Indonesia and work, and so she had to go all the way to Malaysia and pick up an illegal job. And if she's allowed to do it, to be fair, you should allow all Indonesians to come to Malaysia and work. And so that's where people don't realize. You can't allow some to do it and not others.
Before the pandemic, she was earning $9 a day. Now she earns nothing.
Okay, so the minimum wage in Malaysia is $2.83 per month. I converted it to US dollars. And if you do some math, that's about $12 a day. And this worker is making $9. And so you can see that the employee has a huge advantage. She's able to hire someone and pay them less than she would have to pay if she hired any Malaysian. Not only that, but the employee didn't have to pay any government fees to hire the foreigner. So I really think the Malaysian government needs to put their foot down against Malaysians hiring illegal foreign workers, because that's the biggest way you'll solve the problem. If there's no jobs for illegal workers, there's way less illegal workers that are going to be coming to Malaysia. And this situation really sucks. Her situation is really, really rough. And I hope this is a good reminder for everybody why you do things legally, because what is the government supposed to do now? How are they supposed to force her employee to pay her because she has no documentation to show who she's working for? And it's really hard to fix it because there's no paper trail or anything. And so for everybody in this world, this is why you don't break the law, even if people aren't always enforcing it. You always do the right thing because you never know what can happen.
Satu keluarga semua.
But this Malaysian is determined to help the desperate like Ruhima. Alex Ong runs the NGO Migrant Care. At a supermarket, his workers fill their trucks to the brim with rice, eggs and cooking oil.
I like this Migrant Care Malaysia charity. I love people that volunteer and try to make this world a better place. Myself, I've volunteered all around the world. I even made a video of the top 4 craziest places in the world that I volunteered. And nobody watched it. Thanks. But my point is that no migrant worker, legal or illegal, should go hungry. So if there's one good thing about this video, is I hope this charity gets a lot more donations. Also, I think it's very important to say that any legal migrant worker deserves to be taken care of. They have done nothing wrong. They've worked long, hard, and really tough jobs to make Malaysia better. And Malaysia has brought them over here, and so it's their responsibility to make sure that these migrant workers that are legal are taken care of. If you think that there are too many legal migrant workers in Malaysia, that's totally okay. That's your opinion. But don't take it out on the migrant workers. Take it out on your Malaysian government, because they're the ones that have the say on that. And when I mean take it out on your government, write to them, show them that you are not in favor of this many, and do it obviously the correct way that you would go about doing it. My point is, don't take it out on the legal migrant workers.
Desperately needs help.
Tapi saya nak menangis siapa lagi, Pak Alex. Hanya Pak Alex saja yang boleh tolong bantu kita. Kita pun banyak terima kasih sekali dengan Pak Alex.
Ya, kita
virus, poverty and exploitation. The government is banning employers from hiring migrant workers until the end of the year. In a nation that struggles with race relations, it is foreigners who are paying the price in the pandemic.
All right, let's do a final review on everything. Number one, the most successful countries around the world fighting COVID-19 are the ones that had really strict rules. So this video often makes it seem like having strict rules is bad, making people not have their freedoms that they normally have. Well, look at America. People kept their freedoms and now hundreds of thousands of people have died because of COVID-19. I think it's better to give up a little freedom and protect your citizens. Number two, this video constantly mixed up illegal and legal foreign workers. And so we need to emphasize that this video was about illegal immigrants, but they know the word illegal is going to not sound as good. So they would just drop it off and not say it and talk about migrants and then say that everybody is racist against migrant workers. And number three, this video constantly showed handcuffs, barbed wire fence, police and guns. They added sound effects and sirens to make Malaysia look bad. And as mentioned at the beginning of the video, they often took things from different areas over many days and put it all in one place to make it seem like all of Malaysia was having these crazy situations happen. It's more than just the words on the script. It's the imagery, it's the sound effects that gave Malaysia this bad image. Also, as a guy who just recently got into making videos, I can't help but realize that a lot of this was set up. A lot of the times people were told to act or behave or answer in certain ways. There's no way with a huge camera that people would have behaved the way that they did in this video. And so when you realize it, this might be more like a Hollywood movie than it is a documentary. Number four, Malaysia should do a better job at making sure people are working legally. And it needs to not just keep the people that are legal immigrants, but also the companies that are hiring them. Because if the companies aren't punished for doing it, they're going to continue to do it, because in the world, business is very competitive. And if someone can have a leg up by hiring someone cheaper and doing it illegally, they're gonna do it. So you gotta not just account the illegal immigrants, but also the companies hiring the illegal immigrants. And number five, was Malaysia perfect in the way they handled COVID-19? Of course not. No country was. But if you look at Malaysia, at the way they handled the COVID-19 crisis, they were one of the best countries in the entire world. And they did so much for their citizens and migrant workers that were working there legally, giving them food, shelter, and doctor's appointments. And so at the end of the day, the results speak for themselves. Malaysia did an incredible job at fighting COVID-19. And lastly, I have heard that some of the people in this video have gotten threats. And Malaysia, you guys, you're better than that. Use insults and rejection as motivation. That's what I did. After visiting every country in the world, I was so excited to share with the world what I discovered by meeting locals throughout the entire world. And all the media sources denied me. And it's because I got denied that I decided, hey, why don't I start making videos? And that's what I did. And if it wasn't for those rejections, I would have never made any videos. And now some of my videos have really touched a lot of people. So I know these reporters make you mad, but use that frustration to prove them wrong. Go do some charity work. Use that frustration and motivation to go show the world how amazing Malaysians are.